Okay, and we're back.
Peter?
Our apologies to the public for the delay in the proceedings, but it was necessary for the board to convene briefly to obtain legal advice. I've given that legal advice, as a result of which the board has instructed me to pass on to the applicant that it is cognizant of the unusual circumstances of this particular project, and that the roadway ultimately will be dedicated to the village, and also that substantial work has been done. The superintendent of buildings and the superintendent of public works have both indicated to the board that a lot of work has been done. The utilities are in, so it's not really in the same circumstance as a project that was simply not touched, left unattended, and with no progress being made. With that said, it is also a project where thus far there's only been a $10,000 fee paid, and the permit would otherwise have been deemed abandoned and expired in 2019. The board is prepared, however, to impose a fee, but not the full fee. A fee of $6,000 will be extended for a retroactive permit extension from the date of its expiration until 1 year from today's date, which I think gives the applicant a pretty fair shake and does recognize the unique circumstances of this case while still allowing for a fair and reasonable fee for a permit extension. So there has been no fee paid since the original $10,000 permit fee, and that expired back in 2018. So this effectively allows for a $6,000 fee that takes you all the way through to 1 year from today.
If I may respond to that, I mean, I'm accepting the $6,000, but for the record, are we still on? I lost the picture.
No, we can hear you, Mr.
Okay,
Nassim.
sorry. We just recently paid $12,000 for your engineers just to supervise the road construction. So it is not that we haven't paid any other fees. And one other thing I would like to put on the record, this road will be, as mentioned, dedicated to the village. I'm quite sure that within the 1 year it will be substantially completed, but should the village not take dedication and postpone the dedication, if there is additional delays, that there should not be any additional fees later on because of the dedication.
I'm sure that the board will take that under consideration. And Mr. Nassimi, we appreciate your putting your comments on the record. And no one here, I think, is disagreeing with them. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, everybody, and good night.
Thank you.
Good night. Thank you.
Okay.
Good night, Mike.
The next item on the agenda.
Take the vote
Thank you
on
very
that,
much.
Peter?
Thank you,
We're
everybody.
going to vote on this?
Yes, is there a motion to extend the permit until 1 year from today's date for an additional extension fee of $6,000?
So moved.
Moved by the deputy mayor, seconded by
I'll second.
trustee Mendelson.
Mendelson.
Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any objection or abstention? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously. Thank you, members of the board. I believe the next item is a banking resolution, and I'll turn the matter back over to the village clerk, Abraham.
Yes, member of the board and the mayor, we have the banking resolution to include our new deputy treasurer, Richard Kassar, to the bank. I'll put up the resolution in front of you in just a moment. This is the resolution that requires any check has to be has 2 signatures on it. All the transfers, wire transfers, needs 2 signatures as well as all non-ICS. ICS is the system that we use to secure the funds that we have in the investment accounts. So they have if there's a what they call it, the banks are, there's a bank run and the bank runs out of money somehow. It's still insured by the FDIC, what they call it. But still, the transfers between the ICS and the root account, what we call, that only require one signature. Currently, there is only 3. This resolution allows Richard to be added to this card. Currently, there is the mayor, deputy mayor, and myself. This resolution adds Richard as a deputy treasurer to this procedure as well.
Do we need a motion?
Yes, sir.
So moved.
Moved by the
Second.
deputy mayor. Seconded. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition or abstention? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously.
I have one quick question for Abraham.
Yes.
Are any 2 signatures required on the check, or does it have to be a member of the board and
Any 2 signatures.
okay, thank you.
Even though there's 2 signatures required on any checks, and it could be any 2 signatures, the policy has been usually there's a member of the board and the treasurer or the deputy treasurer. That's been the policy of the village.
But in a clutch situation, an emergency situation, if I'm
That is
not
correct.
available, we
That-
could have a check cut, which is a good thing. Okay.
Well, Flushing Bank we use mostly. We don't do our operation from Flushing. We do our operation from Chase.
Yeah.
So there are not checks written from Flushing. It will be very rare if we have to write any checks from the Flushing directly. We usually transfer to JP Morgan, and then from there, 2 signatures as well are required.
Right. No, I understand, but every once in a while, Nancy might need me to sign a check and I'm not available, but now we have backup.
Correct.
Another
Correct.
question is, can it be by the deputy treasurer and, I'm sorry, yeah, with the
Any
clerk,
member, any 4
and
member can sign
deputy
it.
treasurer, or it should be one of us, either me or Bart, on the signature as well?
2 out of any 4 is
2 out of any 4.
yes.
Okay.
But again, the practice has been one, either a mayor or the deputy mayor signs, and the other signatures is either the treasurer or the deputy treasurer.
I would like to continue that.
We will.
yes.
We'll adhere to that. We'll adhere to that. The next item on the agenda is a sign application for 639 Millenick Road. I'm going to pull up the sign that is currently up. This was installed, I believe, 2 or 3 weeks ago, and
Without
Yeah.
a permit.
without a permit, and the applicant is now the notice of violation was issued, and the applicant is now back in front of the board to correctly apply for the sign application. Is the applicant on the meeting tonight?
I had called them. I had sent them text messages with the information. I'm not sure if they are on here, but they were informed of the meeting tonight.
All right, so if the members of the board would like to discuss this, I'm going to put it back up.
So what's
this
not
is-
apparent about this sign, and although for the past week or so, they have not illuminated it, this sign, there are many issues with this sign, but the most glaring one is that this sign is completely lit from within by LEDs. It's an extremely bright sign. The other issues with this sign are, of course, that it didn't come to us for approval, but it went from twigs, which has been a staple in Great Neck for many decades, I think, or at least several decades, to this current sign. Can we get it back up?
Oh, sure.
Sorry.
There you go.
Okay. So, anybody who's been taking part in our meetings for the past, I'd say 15 years, at least 10 years, knows that we've moved away from the waterfall style sign. I think is that what that's called, Steve Haramis?
Yeah,
I think it's called a waterfall sign. we've also not allowed all of this text on the sign, including phone numbers, things that might be distracting to a motorist. Obviously, a convenience store, most people wouldn't need the phone number at hand, and with the internet, it's easy enough to get. I have other issues with it, style-wise. Anybody else want to be heard?
I mean, we would have liked. We have helped people with the signs. I think the color may be a little bit too bright. I'm not even sure if these flags are allowed, but I guess it's a grand opening. The question is, are we willing to put the name Smoke in our village, which is really a very
I think it's provocative. It's a very provocative sign.
For kids who are close by. This is a very family oriented community, and to sell smokes, I'm sure other places do as well. It's just I don't know if I would like to have that name on an awning.
Well, just to clarify, Twigs closed up for, I don't know, for some specified amount of time. It might have been several weeks with brown paper over their windows, and reopened with this new awning and with a completely redesigned interior. One of the most glaring parts of the interior, to anybody who's been there, is that entire left wall of the store behind where it says grand opening is bongs and vape supplies that seem to take up that entire wall. Glass, you can't really, I don't know if you can see it, but this is definitely not the image we want to project in the village. And having that awning and that name certainly adds to that provocation. Right across from
Nothing
the
is
village.
illegal?
I don't think it's illegal. I'm not
We
saying
just
that at
don't
all.
like the smoke in our faces.
Well, first of all, I don't even know if the owner of this business, I don't know if many owners of any businesses are aware that this village pioneered, I think about probably 8 or 9 years ago. We have an ordinance where smoking is not allowed on Middle Neck Road within 50 feet of stores. I believe it's 50 feet of the storefronts.
The sign is on in the window, actually. This is the sign. I can't see it, but that's the sign right here.
Yeah. So this is a village that's taken significant initiative with respect to eliminating smoking in the public way. And here, this kind of flies in the face of that. It's also right across from the village green, where we've had an issue with people smoking and drinking. This store also sells beer, by the way. There's
What doesn't this store sell?
It did occur to me. I don't see it in this picture, but I did see a sign in this window that mentioned Coors Light. Maybe they took that down. I don't see it in this picture, this photograph. But but every other item on their awning, ice cream, coffee, lottery, grocery. There's grocery store right next door. There's a coffee shop on the other side of it. They sell ice cream at several locations on this block. They sell lottery tickets in 3 other locations on this block, and candies also. The only thing that this store has unique is it's a copious amount of bongs and smoking apparatus. So that's what they're bringing to us, and their awning shows it. So I do have a big problem with it.
I second that. Steve, I think
Yes.
maybe you need to send somebody there and ask them that they need to show up to the meeting. I know that you have issued them a notice.
Yes.
Okay. When was that notice issued?
It was issued, I believe it was right after the last meeting, or the meeting previous to
Weeks
that.
ago. So they usually have
Yeah.
about 2 weeks to cure the problem or actually seek some kind of a waiver. And I think they failed, I think both. What I would like to do, maybe he doesn't understand the rules of our village. I would like for someone to go, maybe you yourself, or send somebody to speak to him again, that this cannot be. There are certain things that need to be changed with the sign, and we have to see what the law allows the village to do. Peter, on that, are there anything that could be expected? Peter?
Yeah,
Peter, you're
you're
on mute.
muted.
There we go. All right, can I be heard now?
Yes.
Okay. The code provides that it is up to this board as wide discretion. You are authorized to consider issues of safety, how the color, design, shape, size, location, and material of the sign will adhere to or conflict with existing signs, canopies, and awnings, and to plan for a cohesive design plan for that portion of the village. So all of those are available to you in your discretion, and it would certainly be appropriate to have a member of village staff work with the applicant so that he may conform to that code provision.
As far as what can be displayed behind the windows.
Well, there's a lot of constitutional law on that issue. On the one hand, commercial entities do have freedom of speech, and on the other hand, the board has legitimate interest in traffic safety, and you have consistently taken the position that too much text on a sign can be distracting to the motorist.
No, what I'm saying as far as displayed on the window, not on the sign necessarily.
Well, if it's a, I guess I'd rather give that legal advice in executive session, but in open session, I can broadly say that generally speaking, if it is a lawful product, that products can be displayed. Lawful products can be displayed.
Got it. Okay. Okay.
But we're also entitled to have a, we've had a directive for awnings for 10 years at least on what kind of signage we expect to see in this village. And if you look at Dunkin' Donuts even, okay, Dunkin' Donuts originally came to us with balloon awnings, and we didn't allow it. We had them put the unique sign that they put up on Dunkin' Donuts instead, which I think are much more attractive. People's United Bank, also another example. Everfresh. There's all kinds of examples where we've directed that the signage, even Marie Blacher, the signage is heading in a direction of a fresh, new, more modern look for the village, instead of this tired, very urban looking
An Everfresh.
sign. Yeah. Well, and Neverfresh, did you say?
An Everfresh sign.
What about that?
That's a nice sign too.
Oh no, I mentioned Everfresh. I mean,
Okay.
it started. I even think it might have started with Sushi Fashion, or a couple of stores like that, Maya's Place, where they put much more modern, style-forward designs in front of us, and complied with our requests. Took the extra verbiage off of their signs, cleaned it up, took off the phone numbers, et cetera, et cetera. And it's worked out, I think, quite well for most people. And I think that we have every right to request that of this applicant, if this applicant ever comes in front of us.
Do you want to make a decision on this application or table it for the applicant to be present if he or she chooses to be?
Well, since we have no alternative design in front of us, I would move to.
You're breaking up.
And so I can't.
Bart, I didn't hear what you said.
Sorry. Hold on 1 second, okay? Let me just take it off Bluetooth. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
hear you.
Okay. We don't have an application in front of us
We
for
lost
this sign.
Mark.
Let's wait for him to come in front of us.
Can you hear? But in the meantime, he's been requested to come in front of us. He has a notice of violation. So do we now issue the violation?
Well, we do have a application in front of us that
Oh,
they
for
want,
this particular sign?
yes,
Okay.
yes. But again,
Well,
they're not changing it. They're applying after the fact that they already put
Right.
it up, what they're putting, so.
Okay. Is there any provision for a penalty for putting up a sign without the permit?
It's triple the fee.
Okay. So I would vote to reject this particular sign. This application.
Right, okay. I think what we need to do is to get this, the owner of the store to be on the next meeting. Meanwhile, I think we need to let him know that if he doesn't show up, he will be given the fine. And I think I asked Steve Haramis to actually to speak to this guy and let him know that the board is serious about this sign.
Speak to him tomorrow.
All right, great. All right,
Does the board therefore wish to table this motion, table this matter, or to make a determination on this particular application and await whether or not the applicant wants to put in a new application?
Table.
well, I think we can reject the current application. I don't think unless there is a
You mean the application or the design? Reject the design?
the design for this application,
Mhm.
right? But we can table it until he presents himself in the next meeting, hopefully with a new design. And I think Steve can work with him to tell him what the board's wishes are.
I think by tabling the matter rather than rejecting it, I think what will happen is you'll at least save him a new fee.
Okay, I'm willing to do that if he's willing to come next week. I mean, next meeting.
Is there a motion to table?
Motion.
Moved by the trustee, seconded by?
I second.
I'm not sure who that was, but seconded. Okay,
Deputy Mayor.
all right. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any objection or abstention? Then the matter is tabled until the next Board of Trustee meeting.
Next item on the agenda is a request by the resident at 136 Maple Street for a chain link fence. Going to put up their request letter in just a moment. This is the request letter that was submitted a few days ago. And they have submitted with this letter a few pictures that you can see. The chain link fence, you could see it behind the arborvitae. On this side of the property, as you could see, there are fill-ins between the chain link fence, as well as this one. As well as here also. Not sure what the purpose of this picture is, but this is the fence that separates the front of the house to the back, which there is a pole in the back. And is the applicant in the meeting?
Yeah, I saw him in there before.
If the applicant, please unmute himself. Oh, Mr. Amoni, we can't hear you. We can't hear you. Maybe you want to rejoin the meeting and then we admit you again.
Can you
Oh, now we hear you. Go ahead. Try talking, Mr. Ramani.
hear me? I'm here.
There we go.
Good evening, Mayor and board members.
Whoa.
Hi, how are you? Thank you. I'm the owner of 136 Maple Street. I came on the board around 2 years ago to get approval for my pool. And with your help, I got that approved. And with that, the fence. And,
Yo,
Can't hear him.
we can't hear you. It might be that actually, if you could rejoin the meeting, please. Some reason we can't hear you.
back in 1 second. Hello?
There we
Yes, we can hear you now.
Hello?
Now we hear you.
Oh,
Okay. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I am the owner of 136 Maple Street. And I came around a year and a half ago to get approval for a pool. That put a fence around around my property to protect the neighbors from entering or I was not aware that chain fence is not approved by the board or is against the village rules. One of the main reasons that my wife and I decided to put this fence compared to the fence that we have up front is because if you look at the picture, the reason I send the dog picture is because my neighbor has a very big dog and I got 3 little kids. And every time we would come to the construction site, the dog would come right up to the fence that was there for construction and would scare the heck out of my kids. So my wife and I decided, first I was gonna ask the neighbor to put a higher fence because he has his own fence and he assured me that his dog cannot jump and it will not jump over the fence. So my wife and I decided that to add a little more protection, we would put a chain fence instead of putting a state fence. And that's what we did. And it was brought
Why, Mr. Rahmani, why is a chain fence more secure than a state fence for a dog?
than the state fence. If you look at the state fence that I have up front, Abraham, if you put up that picture.
Which one?
One that's separating the front and the back.
Oh, sure.
That, see, if you look at that, the whole separating is larger than the chain fence. So
Yeah, but you're not gonna German Shepherd through there.
No, the nose can come through, and I've seen that happen. One of my daughters also scared of dogs. The other ones aren't, but when the dog comes very close with the nose coming through, that can be a little bit scary.
not a small dog. This is a huge dog. So we decided every time we would go there, my daughter is 5 years old, my son is 3, and my newborn is 6 months old. So every time we would come, my kids would start crying. So my wife and I decided to put a chain fence because we thought it would be safer. At the same time, we had no idea it was not approved by the village. So that's what we did.
Now, Steve Haramis, we mentioned that if he puts these fillers as far as the safety goes, and you had a question regarding the size of the hole. Based on what you're looking at, can you say if the square is sufficient, it's too big or it's too small, and if they put the filler in, if that could be of any help?
I'd like to go out and actually measure it to make sure, because the picture, I can't tell by the picture, the size of those openings.
Okay.
Steve, could you just let us know what New York state law says about having,
So a maximum mesh size for a chain link fence is 2¼ inches square, unless the fence has a vertical slats fastened to the top and the bottom, which can then reduce the opening to 1¾ inch.
how are they fastened?
So they could be the slats that are pushed down. Sometimes they tie them on. Mostly they're just inserted into every chain link straight down.
Okay, because I thought what you decided said they're fastened at the top and the bottom.
Well, when you slide them down, they fasten them from the top or the bottom. They could use like
Okay.
a zip tie or a fastener to secure them,
Okay,
so they can't be easily pulled out.
okay. And do the grass inserts that we saw in the pictures, do those serve the same purpose to
Yes.
prevent a foothold? Or are those
Yes.
more flex, or are those, I know that they're grass, but perhaps the grass is attached to a thin wire that wouldn't prevent a foothold. That's,
Yeah, it's not just one piece of grass going down through each square. It's several pieces fit inside that square.
no, I know that, but several strips go down into each square?
Yes, it's not just one strip.
Okay,
So the reason I think for the applicant to understand is the reason that you need those strips going in is because it prevents anyone, or it makes it more difficult for a kid to climb the fence. And that's why it is suggested for the state fence. And if you're putting these chain link fence, I think we need to make sure that those strips are placed and the size of the hole is such that it's acceptable by the state. And I think Steve can come in, take a look, and make sure that these are within the state code. And let's say if it is within the state code and those strips are placed, is the member of the boards, would you guys like to opine and vote on accepting this, or you want to have any other questions from the applicant?
Hearing none, Mayor, is there a motion by a board member pursuant to Article 16 of the code, Section 575-147, to approve the fence subject to its compliance with state code requirements
And Steve's approval.
and Steve's approval?
Right.
To do.
Moved by trustee Hope, seconded by,
I second.
and any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any objections or abstentions? Hearing none, it appears the motion passes unanimously.
Next
Okay.
item. The next item on the agenda is the minutes.
Okay,
for-
I just want to make sure that the applicant knows that to get to discuss it with the building department, with Steve Haramis, and make sure that this gets done in a timely fashion. Mr. Romani?
Should I reach out to Steve tomorrow?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Thank
All right.
you.
All right, thank you. Good night. Okay, next, Abraham?
The next item is the minutes of November 3rd meeting.
Next. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
I'll move to approve the minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any abstention? No? Okay. The next item is the abstract for this coming Friday, November 20th.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Rental Vac Con, VACCON.
That was for catch basins cleaning. I believe it was rented by Louis for a week. Louis, are you on the meeting?
It's the vacuum truck.
Yes, it's a
It was the
vacuum.
back in the basins. We discussed it. I don't know if it was the meeting last meeting or the one before that.
All right, I'll make a motion to accept the abstract.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstention? Yep.
Before we go to a public comment, I have two follow-up questions to ask. Number one, where we stand with respect to the traffic safety signage or controls that were ordered for the crosswalk in front of Everfresh.
The order was submitted. The delivery time is 4 weeks, so it's either this week or hopefully by the middle of next week we should receive it. If we don't get it, we're going to contact them again to see why our order hasn't been received yet.
Okay. And the next question is just a follow-up question about the roof work in front of Village Hall. Did we retain the contractor?
It was, yes, it was supposed to be done this Saturday. We can't do it during the week because we have a member of the public coming, and that's the only entrance that we could serve the public. So it has to be done. It can't be done on a Sunday because of the village code. The only day that we could do it is on a Saturday because of the rain that the contractor got delayed. He could not get to the site this Saturday. We're trying to get to him either the coming Saturday, and if it's not done this week, he's going to try over the Friday after Thanksgiving.
Okay. Thank you.
Another follow-up, as far as the lights and the apparatus that we ordered and the nodes, where are we holding with those?
Brian?
They were shipped last week, so it should be another week or two before all the street lights come in, the additional street lights come in. And the
Where are they
node,
coming from?
I don't know. I don't know exactly.
Might be Canada.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was shipped, and so we're getting the arms, the nodes, and the lights, correct?
Yeah, nodes, we still had some nodes. And the Cobra headlights, they should be here within the next week or two.
Right,
Great.
and I also wanted to let you know, as I was driving, I saw a few lights that I think went out because of the storm we had a couple of days ago. So I would like for Brian or Louis, or both, to really take a look and see exactly what's going on. which lights are at, and hopefully we can restore them.
So this evening prior to the meeting, me and Louis, we took a ride around the village. We didn't hit every block in the village, but I got a nice list of locations to follow up on.
These are the lights that exist and are out, or these are lights that do not exist and need to go on?
So there's a few locations for lights that do not exist. And there are a few locations that the lights went out that
Okay. Could you tell me approximately how many areas the lights does not exist and we need to put new poles? I mean, new arms and lights.
From where we looked this evening, I have 1, 2. From where we drove around, Louis, I have 2 new locations on Beach Road between Orchard and Maple. And then we have on Warwick, we have some between 57 and 59 Warwick for new locations for street lights. And then the rest, we have a bunch of lights. 1, 2, 3, 6. We have about maybe 8 or 9 locations of lights that are out.
Okay.
Just want to mention for 2 lights that we just installed north of Old Mill Road on Polo Road.
2 new lights?
Well, 1 new light over there.
1 new light and one was replaced.
Right. I think we need to take a very strong look. We need my goal would be to add another at least 10 new locations in the village by the end of the year. So if we can really look on those places, at the top of my head, I can think of 2 or 3. But really, we need to start increasing the light. I'm hoping that would decrease the accidents or near close accidents significantly.
So Mayor, I would encourage, residents or anybody who's listening to give us a call or give me a call at Village Hall or shoot me an email with potential locations so we could, me and Louis could take a look at it, or board members also just shoot me an email with locations.
Okay.
So that we could take a look at.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a ride. Me and Steven are gonna take a ride around Great Neck, hopefully this week sometime, and then go see where it's dark and we need some light and stuff like that. And I'll send you out a report.
Great. All right, thank you. Public comments?
Yes, I have a public comment. It's Nicholas Cron, 26 Woolies Lane. First of all, thank you, Deputy Mayor Sobel, for bringing up the crosswalk paraphernalia that's been ordered apropos of the last board meeting for the crosswalk outside Everfresh. I'm very pleased to hear that has moved along so swiftly, and look forward to the village receiving that equipment in short order, and then getting it installed, obviously, as quickly thereafter as possible. Apropos of the tragic accident last night, and watching how the traffic is moving up and down Middle Neck Road as I become more involved and interested in the dangers of crossing, I would highly recommend that the village does continue their audit of street lights to ensure that we have adequate brightness along Middle Neck Road. That turn at Nirvana is particularly dark. I audited it again this evening as I was driving, and people who are not wearing any type of reflective clothing can be completely in the shadows. And I think that there's a number of crosswalks, especially off Middle Neck Road, where lighting needs to be revisited. So again, thank you for your awareness and hard work in this direction. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Nicholas, I just wanted to let you know that there is a light. There's a street light right on Nirvana on the median on Middle Neck Road on the crossroad of Nirvana. So I think I'm assuming because of the storm we had a couple of nights ago, some of these lights are out. Obviously, they're going to be addressed. But in general, I agree with you, and I think we have been very clear about the number of lights and areas that are dark. We had that initiative about 3 years ago when we put in the LED lights, and I think we need to really move to the next phase and add the lights that we are missing in certain areas. So I appreciate your hard work on this, and I think what I would like to do, if you know or you know people that know areas, please let us know so we can address those as swiftly as possible.
Yes, thank you. And anything that the village can do to make people aware of the dangers of walking without reflective covers or lights, especially at night, would be very much appreciated, because I think that people are not mindful of these issues, and it leads to huge dangers. We work hard with our school kids to try and make sure that they have reflective clothing, but it's also our elderly and others that need to be mindful. And if there was any type of public awareness campaign to support that, I think that would go a long way as well.
We have done that in our on Steamboat Road synagogues. We have given
Yep.
out reflectives at nighttime during the holidays, Friday nights. We encourage people to wear them, and I think it's a great idea to raise awareness about it. And I think it's a great idea.
Absolutely. And Nicholas, you brought up another good point about the need for the lights to be a certain brightness and intensity in order to work, right? You could have lights, but if they're not illuminating the area below, then they're of limited use.
Yeah.
So.
Also, people have to be aware that even though they have the right of way, cars don't necessarily see them, but people just walk thinking I have a right of way, the car's going to stop. Not always.
Yeah. Sometimes they don't see you. Sometimes you're in a blind spot.
I know, but people think I have a right of way and they keep walking.
No, everybody must be vigilant.
That's right. You let the car go before you run past it, in front of it.
Any other public comments?
Hi, yes.
Hi,
I
just
would
take
like
your
to
name
say
and address,
something.
please.
Hi, this is Evelyn Livium from 7 Stewart Street.
Thank you.
My home is very close to Nirvana. It's like around the corner. And a couple years ago, 2015, my husband was walking on the same exact spot that the tragedy occurred. And he got hit by a car. And luckily, by some miracle, he just got up and walked away and nothing happened to him. But immediately after, I called the village and told them the whole story and asked for lighting in that area. In general, the whole Nirvana, Stewart, Henry is very dark. And basically they said, we're working on it, we're putting LEDs, and nothing happened. I emailed them a follow-up email, and I even have a screenshot of the email, and nothing happened. That one light on Middle Neck is really not enough, because it's just Middle Neck, which those side streets going into Middle Neck where that accident happened and all those other streets, there's not one sidewalk. And basically, if you're walking even on the side of the street, which where my husband was, completely on the side, he got hit by a car because there is no sidewalk and there's no lights.
I was just there. Are you talking about, because Nirvana, there were two lights right on west of Middle Neck Road. They're not the Cobra lights that we have on the east side of Middle Neck Road. They're the regular lamppost lights. Are you saying that the intensity of the lights not enough? Because we do have lights there. I just don't.
There's maybe like one light, and it's very dim on my street, Stewart Street, and there's maybe one light very dim on Nirvana. It's very, very minimal. If you guys want to like drive around that area at night, you'll get a better idea. It's a quiet neighborhood, but Nirvana is very busy. You know, the cars come blazing down Nirvana. It's like a cross street kind of.
Thoroughfare.
Cars come blazing down there all the time. There's no sidewalks. Like when I walk there with my kids, I tell them to go on the grass because it's so dangerous.
Well, Evelyn, we'll take a look at that. We'll go over Nirvana at nighttime and make sure we send recommendations to address that, and we'll make sure the lighting will be correct on that area.
May
And
have
also,
to increase the intensity of the lights also on the east side.
Yeah,
and
as
that's-
many lights as you can add because it's very dim. I know they want to keep the village like a certain look, but at this point with this tragedy that happened, I don't think that the atmosphere is worth the, the tragedies.
Just so I'm just looking at the number of streetlights on your area there on Stewart, Henry, Nirvana. We'll try to mess around with the intensity, but there's just on Stewart, there's 4 streetlights between Gould and Henry, and then Nirvana.
On Stewart,
has-
there's 4.
Yeah. And then so there's several locations of lights. I'll drive by there when I go home tonight to take a look at it also.
The main
But
the
maybe we
main
just have to
street
increase
that
the
I
intensity.
think is problematic is Nirvana though, because there's no sidewalks and there's very minimal lighting and the cars come blazing down. That's like a major street.
Yeah, that people speed on. So that's another
Yeah.
thing. We can also reach out to Nassau County Police Department in terms of cars speeding as well.
Louis, also, I think because these are not Cobra lights, I'm afraid that maybe the branches of trees may be blocking some of these lights.
I think cleared.
Sorry?
Most of them are cleared. We've trimmed around all of these.
Right. So I'm just letting you know, maybe you need to, especially with those, the Cobra lights are, higher, but these lights could be covered with some branches. In general, I'm not saying they are, I don't know if they are, but I'm just saying sometimes we do see these lights being blocked. And Brian, we need to think about increase the intensity of those lights.
Just something to keep in mind, me and Louis were discussing also with the like the carriage, the lamppost lights, is by increasing the intensity, how much that may be a distraction for drivers if we increase it too much, but we'll have to play around with it and what works best. And
also, Louis, the Cobra lights on Middle Neck Road in the island are Nassau County lampposts, correct?
No, they us.
What?
No, they belong to us.
Oh, they do. Okay.
They're under our control.
Okay.
Any other public comments?
I know
Yes.
Nina had, okay, there you are.
Hi, Nina Gordon, 200 South Middle Neck Road. I have 2 comments. One is actually Brian pretty much started to cover it. I was going to suggest that you involve Nassau County Police Department in increased patrols, and especially in areas where you have school buses coming. It's getting darker earlier. Kids come home, it seems that kids come home between 3 and 6 because of after school activities. And I don't know how receptive they'll be, but since the village does not have their own police department, maybe you can reach out to Nassau County. The other thing I wanted to address was, again, I feel like a broken record, the increase in cases. I'm going to send something in the chat to everyone. The daily increase is just crazy. And I recently saw somebody shared something on social media, a letter that went out from a number of rabbis to constituents. It was like 26 rabbis signed this letter, and it was great. It was a great start. But what occurred to me was that perhaps, the Orthodox rabbis are not the only people in the village. You've got Reform synagogues, you've got conservative synagogues, you've got churches, you've got the AME Zion Church, you've got St. Aloysius. So maybe there can be some kind of outreach I'm sure you've done it before. I'm not reinventing the wheel, but maybe there can be a village outreach to all the houses of worship to get together and make some kind of statement, because we are going in the wrong direction. So that's what I gotta say. I hope we can do something to turn it around.
Thanks for the comments. Anyone else who would like to make a comment?
David, I see David has his hand raised.
You. Okay.
Go ahead, David.
Yeah, David Zelenziger, 15 Beach Road. I have a couple of questions, but a comment on this. One thing you might also want to consider is prohibiting a left turn, or what I would guess a turning west from Middle Neck Road into Nirvana, because that intersection is just slightly north of Old Mill Road. Yeah, and often I've noticed that drivers don't signal; they just decide to go there and so on. Maybe prohibit that left turn, and that might be one way of dealing with that problem. But it all needs to be considered, and it needs to be considered by an engineer and someone who knows stuff about this. Now, I also had a couple of questions. I have made a number of complaints that Abraham and Steve Haramis have received, and I'm just wondering if there's been any action taken on them, like on the Breuer Avenue, the permanent real estate sign that's there, and the broken sidewalks and so on.
So yes, I passed all the information on to the inspectors, and everything is being looked into.
And the apparent daycares at 109 Baker Hill Road and number 7 Second Road?
Yep.
All right. So as long as there's some action, now another question I had, I know that there's a village requirement that at the beginning of September, all the rental properties have to submit kind of lists of who is renting their dwellings. And I'm wondering if, we've received them and there's any kind of audit. And my concern is, you all remember that Brokaw Lane fire now of, I guess, 3 years ago, when it turned out that in a single family house, there were 24 people. Do we have any idea how many of these have come in?
Yeah, so the ladies in my office handle that. There is a rental registration, and I
Right.
know that Sheila and Jackie have been on top of that, and I know they do come in. They do send notices out for the people to renew their rental registration. So if you want to call the office tomorrow, they might be able to give you the numbers specifically. I don't know them offhand.
I mean, I'm not so much interested in the actual numbers as the fact that there is participation, so that we
Yes.
know who's living where, and so we don't have any more accidents. And one more thing is, it's just an old thing I've been asking about a lot, but that's in general. What about my idea for getting house numbers on houses? I noticed in walking around, still at least 40% of the houses in this village don't have a house number. And I would think that emergency services, the post office, Amazon, a whole lot of other people might appreciate that. Are we going to do anything on that?
Yes, we are. It's a New York State code, and something was written up that I have to put and present before the board. So yes, that was worked on. That was worked on.
Good. Then I hope that will come up soon, because I mean, I that I've been nagging about this for a long time, but there's no action. And this is I would think that for the homeowner, this is something very easy to comply with. Thank you.
I agree. Thank you, David.
Thank you. Nathaniel, I saw that you were raising your hand also.
Yes, thanks, Brian. I want to bring up another point.
Just one more time, state your name, full name, and
Sure,
address.
sorry. Nathaniel Rhymesada at 3 Stony Run Road. Thank you again for giving me the platform to speak here. I'm bringing up something I spoke with Brian about that he mentioned that I should bring up here, is the stop sign on Stony Run Road, and how kind of indented in it is in the street, the stop sign line, and how, well, I'll just show you here on my screen. So if you can see here, this is the stop sign and the line for the stop sign. It's about, I don't know, 10 to 20 feet from Old Mill Road. And this is the view you get more or less as a driver here exiting Stony Run Road. If you look to the left, it's very difficult to see any car from the left-hand side. There is a stop sign about right here, I'd say about 75 to 100 feet from this corner at Old Mill and Polo, I believe. And cars speed up after they stop at a stop sign. They have to speed up to get to the city speed limit. And by the time you inch forward here, many times you're approaching into an intersection where a speeding car, not a cruising car, a speeding car is coming towards you. And it's very difficult to see them through whatever this is. I don't know if it's a tree or if it's a dead tree, or I don't know what that is. Similarly, on the right-hand side here, when you exit, it's coming up on a hill. So again, cars are speeding up this hill. And some of you might say this has been a problem for a while, but you know, I'm new here and I'd like to give a crack at trying to find a solution for this. So cars are speeding up here, up this hill, not cruising again, speeding up the hill to be able to ascend up the hill. And when you're making a left-hand turn, it is again very difficult to see them from this angle. And here it looks like it's just these two trees that are in the main blocking viewing obstructions here. So if I can give some kind of possibilities to resolve this somehow, you know, I'm sure other people have mentioned this. I don't know, you know, how the regulations are regarding the village or private property, but there's a similar situation in another street. I've seen them put some kind of a mirror here. Brian mentioned that that's not usually feasible because the mirror can bend and change the angle of viewing, and then it'll give a false sense of security to the driver. In which case, I would say maybe use it put a small sign under the mirror, you know, use at your own risk, but I don't know how helpful that is. Another possible solution is at the very least maybe trimming this tree or whatever this is, and that'll give some more less of an obstruction here, and at the very least, you know, either having the property owner or maybe it's the city's tree, village's tree, at the very least trimming this, whatever this is on the tree, to allow for better viewing for the cars coming uphill. Maybe asking this property owner to make this less dense or to get rid of these. I really don't know how to solve this. I'm going to keep this up here so that while other people are speaking, I can move this around to help use as reference.
Louis, can I ask you why the stop sign is not a little bit further toward Old Mill Road?
I couldn't answer why it's not closer, other than it would be blocked by those trees. And that may not be, I can't imagine that it's that far back, but.
If I'm here, it looks like it's good.
Looks like it is, but I'll tell you what, every morning when I leave my house, there's a little short block, and it's a similar street to this. And you know what? There's not a stop sign on that block, but you know what I do? I stop. Because if I don't stop, I'm going to get hit, even though there's not a stop sign there. It's just called driver safety. So you stop at the stop sign, you inch up a little bit. But just because you stop at the stop sign doesn't make you drive through. You still have to make sure the intersection is clear.
I'm saying that even if you inch up, by the time you inch up to here and you're looking around, cars are coming past here pretty quickly. At the very least, can we get these trimmed maybe, or this trimmed out so you can have a little bit more of less of an obstruction?
I'm sure I can get it if as long as I can't really see by the image what's being obstructed, but I'll take a ride by there tomorrow and take a look at it.
Is this privately owned tree or is this a village tree? Is that something I should talk to this homeowner about?
Looks like it's on the right of way. Looks like it's on the right of way. Looks like it's part of the village.
Louis, if you can drive by tomorrow, take a look, please.
I said I will take a look. I will take a ride by tomorrow.
Great, thanks a lot.
Just beyond this, I'm going to attend the next meeting just for the signatures, but is it against any kind of regulations if I ask these homeowners to put up privately some kind of oblong mirrors that allow for better vision of the street?
Mirrors create a problem with reflections of the and possibly blind drivers.
I'm sorry, you broke up. I didn't quite hear what you said.
The mirrors are going to possibly blind drivers when the sun hits them. So we don't put mirrors up, and I don't suggest putting a mirror up on a public highway.
They're also convex or and cause distortions.
I mean, you see the car coming, and I know I've seen in other streets, and it works.
Okay.
So it's not. So it doesn't sound like it's against, but it's frowned upon. I appreciate it. You know, Louis, you mentioned that you would take a drive-by, and I guess I could bring it up again next week.
Aside from the fact that Old Mill Road is a Nassau County road, that road is not in our jurisdiction.
So what does that mean or imply?
Nassau County, not the Village of Great Neck.
So what are you saying by saying that?
I don't think that they would want a mirror or anything like that on there. It's not something that the village would do, and it's not something that I would recommend doing.
So you're saying if anybody had an issue, it would be Nassau County?
Yep. Yep.
Okay. Thanks for
Thank
your
you,
time.
Okay.
Any other public comments?
Anybody else would like to speak? Going once, going twice. I don't have anybody else, Mayor.
All right, hearing no comments, I want to encourage everybody to be safe. Drive safe. If you're walking outside, so nowadays, please have some kind of reflective gear on, your hat, gloves, belt, vest,
shoes,
sneakers, shoes, right? Whatever it is that you wear, please make sure something is. Also keep the younger people to the side of the street. As one of the speakers spoke, she asked her kids to walk on the grass when there's no sidewalk. Please do so. Realize that many times cars cannot see you. As Steve said, even though you have the right of way, cars many times cannot see during the night, especially when it's raining. Try to avoid wearing dark clothing. And on the other note, COVID is still here. I know many of us have pandemic fatigue and are tired of wearing masks and social distancing. I'm really urging everyone to really continue your vigilance in this matter. We were doing great in Village of Great Neck and the surrounding areas for a long time. Unfortunately, in the past month or so, we have doubled our cases. During the height of the pandemic, we were doing a lot better than we're doing today. And that's not acceptable, not to me, not to the state, not to the county. I can say it over and over again, you know, if you're going to a party
that people aren't wearing masks, you should consider yourself exposed. The teenagers go and they believe that they have the right to hang out because it's their privilege, and their privilege is being taken away. You come home, you can infect your younger siblings who in fact can go to school and cause school closures, which is going to have significant psychological impact on kids that are staying home. So I can say it over and over again, but again, as we did in the beginning, we all did it together. We all were vigilant. We have to stay vigilant and stay away from these large gatherings. And hopefully we can get some normalcy soon. As the vaccines coming in, we have 2 vaccines that were runner-up. I'm sure we're going to learn more about them, both Pfizer and Moderna. And I'm sure that we can have them delivered to New York expeditiously and use the right vaccine for us. So with that said, I wish all of you a good night, and I ask for anyone who would like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
A motion to adjourn?
Second.
Move to adjourn.
Okay.
All those in
Good night,
favor?
everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Against.
Good night.